Once a ship was caught in a terrible storm at sea. The ship was sunk and all but one of the passengers drowned. By God's mercy, he survived and made it to shore. When he regained consciousness and opened his eyes, he discovered himself utterly alone on a deserted island. As soon as he awoke, he began praying to God, saying, "Oh God, please help me. Please send me help." Days passed, but no assistance arrived. He spent the night sleeping on the beach. Every morning he prayed to God, but no help arrived. After a few days, he started losing hope. Resigned to his fate, the man decided to adjust to life on the isolated island. He gathered wood and grass and constructed a home for himself. He rescued any usable objects from the ship's wreckage and kept them in his tent. To survive, he ate coconuts and caught fish on the island. Despite his difficulties, he made the most of his circumstances and began spending his days in the hut. He took a little break from cooking dinner over an open fire one day to grab something. When he returned, he discovered that his hut was on fire. Flames were consuming his sole shelter. Devastated, he raised his head to the sky in wrath, shouting, "Oh God, I asked for help, but you didn't listen to my prayers. I made this hut to survive, and now you've also torched it. You're so cruel!" He was extremely dissatisfied and spent the entire night complaining to God. He eventually fell asleep on the sand, overcome with grief. The next morning, he was startled awake by a loud boom. He opened his eyes and was surprised to see a ship anchored close to the shore. Help had finally arrived. He boarded the ship, overjoyed. Once on board, he asked the captain, "How did you know I was stranded on this deserted island?" The captain responded, "We noticed a fire signal coming from the island and realized someone must be there. That is why we came." The man was stunned. "But I didn't send any fire signal," he informed me. The captain smiled and said, "We came here because of the fire we saw." At that moment, the man recalled his burning hut. He recognized that what he saw as a calamity was actually God's plan to save him. God had used the fire in his hut as a signal to summon help. The guy realized that God's intentions were greater than ours, and he began to thank God with his whole heart. If we look at our own life, we frequently find ourselves diligently planning, just to have things not go as planned. What we want does not happen, and what happens is rarely what we expected. In times of distress, we struggle to make sense of events due to our limited comprehension. When adversity strikes, our faith wavers, our patience fails, and our hope disappears. We start to complain to God. However, in such circumstances, we must remember to have faith and endure. In a world of more than 7 billion people, God has a purpose and a plan for every one of us. We must persevere in our endeavors, trusting in the Almighty. Together, our efforts and God's blessings can help us conquer any challenge. So, if you feel like your plans are failing and life appears to be working against you, remember that God may have a different plan for you. His ideas are always larger, braver, and better than ours.